Hi everyone, myself Dr. P. Soumya, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. In this session, I am going to discuss about question bank discussion. Question bank discussion on environment and ecosystem. What are First question is, what are ecological pyramids? Explain why some of these pyramids are upright while others are inverted in different ecosystems. What are ecological pyramids? Explain why some of these pyramids are upright while other are inverted in different ecosystem. First, we should know what is ecological pyramid. Ecological pyramids, these are the graphical representation of the number of individual present or amount of biomass synthesized or amount of energy stored at successive trophic level and ecosystem. So here it is a ecological pyramid means it is a graphical representation. It is a graphical representation of a number of individuals presents, amount of biomass synthesized, and amount of energy stored. So it is a graphical representation of number of individuals present and our amount of biomass synthesized and amount of energy stored at successive trophic level in an ecosystem. These ecological pyramids are starting with producers and at the base. So producers, these are started at the bottom. So these are at the base and the successive trophic level forming at the apex is known as ecological pyramid. So here this will form producer to. So this ecological pyramid will consist of producers to tertiary consumers. So this is a graphical representation which will give information about number of individual present or number of amount of energy stored or amount of biomass synthesized in each successive trophic level in each ecosystem. So if we see this diagram, so we have producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. So here increasing levels in food chain. So this is indicating the increasing energy levels in the food chain. So we have three types of ecological pyramids. First one is pyramid of numbers, and pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. So here three types of ecological pyramids are there: pyramid of numbers, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. Pyramid of biomass. Pyramid of biomass, it is a graphic representation of biomass present per unit area of different trophic levels with producers at the base and top, carnivores at the tip. So at the tip, carnivores, and at the base, producers are there. So this pyramid of biomass, it is the graphic representation of biomass present per unit area. Biomass present per unit area of different trophic levels with producers at the base, at the top carnivores, at the top or at the tip carnivores are present. Biomass, it is calculated by mass of individual into number of individuals. So biomass, it is calculated biomass it is calculated by mass of each individual, mass of each individual, mass of each individual into number of each individual, number of individuals. So here biomass, it is equal to mass of each individual each individual into number of each individual at each trophic level. So this is the units of this biomass is gram cube or grams. So if we see this diagram, this is showing the upright pyramid of biomass. It is in terrestrial ecosystem. So if here example we have taken, this is a terrestrial ecosystem. So this is showing the upright pyramid of biomass. So at the bottom we are having producers, at the top carnivores. So producers, these are having some 1000 kg biomass. So if we see this bottom, this is 1000 kg. So after that herbivores, these are 100 kg. Primary carnivores 10 kg and top 1 kg. So this is the biomass. The biomass it is decreases. The biomass is decreases from the bottom to top. From the bottom to top. That's why. So this pyramid. This is a upright pyramid. So we are getting less amount at the top, and so here bottom we are getting more. So that's why this is a upright pyramid of biomass. So this is a upright pyramid of biomass in terrestrial ecosystem. So here energy biomass is 1 kg. So here 10 kg and 100 kg and 1000 kg. So here the biomass is increasing. That's why this is upright pyramid. And so this is a biomass means it is a mass of each individual into number of each individual. So this is a pyramid of biomass. Second one is pyramid of energy. Pyramid of energy, it is a graphic representation of flow of energy through each trophic level of food chain over a fixed time period. So here the pyramid of energy, it is a graphic representation of flow of energy through each trophic level. It is also graphic representation of flow of energy from each trophic level. From each trophic level of food chain over a fixed time period. Pyramid of energy, it is a graphic representation of flow of energy from one trophic level to another trophic in a fixed time period. It is also known as pyramid of productivity. It is also known as pyramid of productivity. The input of solar energy may be indicated as an extra layer of the base. So if we see this energy, the input of solar energy, so this may be indicated as an extra layer at the base. So here we know that the producer we are have at the same like a pyramid of biomass. If you at the base, at the bottom primary producers, at the top consumers or carnivores. So here if we see these primary producers, these are primary producers or herbivores. So these are consuming the energy from the sunlight and will produce the some produce the carbohydrates, and so these are consumed by primary consumers and secondary consumers. Then the third level of consumers and apex predators. So if we see the energy, the energy at the primary producer, that is 100%. So this is decreased to 10% at the primary consumers, and it is decreased to 1% and 0.1%, and it is a 0.01 percentage. So if we see the energy which is coming from producers to primary consumers and secondary consumers and third level of consumers and predators, so this is decreasing. This is decreasing by 10 times. So it is decreasing. So that's why. So this is a upright pyramid, and so this is a pyramid of energy. If we see this diagram, so same here plants are 100%. So here this is taking 100% of sunlight, and this is giving so it is giving 10%, 1% and 0.1%. So and finally it will lose energy as a heat. So this is the pyramid of energy. This is the pyramid of energy. So if we see this primary producer, examples of primary producers of plants, examples of primary consumers like insects, grasshoppers, secondary consumer, frog, tertiary consumer like snake. So these are like energy is decreasing from one trophic level to another trophic level. So that's why this is upright pyramid. So next question is explain the role of producers, consumers and decomposers in ecosystem with practical example. Explain the role of producers, consumers, decomposers and in an ecosystem with practical examples. So we know that the natural sources in nature we have a ecosystem. This is having two types of components, that is abiotic components and biotic components. So abiotic components again classified into climatic factors, edaphic factors, and this if we see the climatic factors, it is divided into rain, light, wind, temperature, and the edaphic factors if we see this soil, pH, minerals and topography. If we see the biotic component classification, so we have three types of classification: producers, consumers, and decomposers. Producers also called as autotrophs, consumers also called as heterotrophs, decomposers also called as saprotrophs. So these consumers again converted. These are classified into primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, and quaternary consumers. So ecosystem, it is divided into abiotic components and as well as biotic components. So abiotic components, these includes non-living things of an ecosystem such as physical factors, soil, temperature, light, water, and chemical factors are consisting of inorganic compounds like elements, nitrogen, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and sulfur. Organic compounds like carbohydrates and proteins. So these abiotic components are non-living components, and biotic components are includes living components like plants, animals, microorganisms present in ecosystem. So if we see the herbivores are the animals that eat only plants is called as herbivores. So these we only eat plants. So examples of herbivores are deers, rabbits, and insects. And carnivores, animal that eat only other animal is called as carnivore. So these carnivore examples of carnivores are lion, snakes, birds, lizards, and fox. Omnivores, these are animals that eat both plants and animals, as called as omnivores. Examples of omnivores: bear, pig, rat. We have three types of classification: herbivores, carnivore, and omnivore. Herbivore, this is animals that eat only plants, that eat only producers are called as herbivores, deer, rabbit, insects. Carnivores, the animals that can eat only other animals. The omnivores, the animals that eat both plants as well as animals are called as omnivores. So decomposer. What is decomposer means? Decomposers play. So these will decomposers are decompose the materials into nutrients. So decomposers display an important role in ecosystem. Decomposers, this is an organism that breaks down a dead organism and waste like fungi or bacteria. So decomposer uh, examples are all microorganisms. So this can breaks down the dead organisms and waste into nutrients. Decomposers feed on the remains and feed on the remains of the other animals. By digesting dead matter, they put nutrients back into soil, making them available to producers. So by digesting the dead matter, they put nutrients back into the soil and they make them available to producers. So here decomposer work is, so this will breaks down the dead organism and waste material into useful material. Dead organisms into useful nutrients. So which are used by producers. So here this is breaking down the dead organisms into the useful nutrients which are again used by the producers. Examples of these decomposers are fungi, bacteria, earthworm, fungi, bacteria. So these are the decomposes. Example. So next question is explain the grazing food chain and detritus food chain with example. The transfer of food energy from the producers through a series of uh, herbivores or carnivores successfully with the repeated activities of eating and being eaten is known as food chain. So explain the grazing food chain and detritus food chain with an example. So here, first we should know what is food chain. Food chain means it is a transfer of food energy from one producers to other series of organisms. So successfully with the repeated activities of eating and being eaten is known as food chain. So if we see this diagram, this is showing the food chain. So this is in this food chain, one food energy is transferred from one place to another trophic level. So here, if we see this producer, this is producing energy from the sun, from the you from this is producing the carbohydrates by using sunlight and carbon dioxide in water, which is present in water, which are present in our environment. So these are consumed by this primary consumers, and these primary consumers are consumed by secondary consumers. Secondary consumers are consumed by secondary consumer consumed by tertiary consumers. Tertiary consumers are consumed by predators. So this, if these all are dead, so these are decomposed back into the useful nutrients by using decomposers. So again, this is used by producers. So this chain is called as food chain. So in this transfer of food energy is taking place from producers to various levels of organism like herbivores, carnivores, and predators. So here we have to explain about grazing food chain and detritus food chain. Grazing food chain starts with green plants, primary producers, and goes to herbivores on to carnivores. Grazing food chain. So in this, this food chain starts with green plants. This grazing food chain, this is starts with the green plant, and so this is goes to herbivores and on to carnivores. So then it is goes into herbivores and then carnivores. So like this is starts from the green plants and it is ends with carnivores and like different consumers like primary consumers, secondary and tertiary consumers, then predators. So this is grazing food chain. If we see this diagram, the sun energy it is used by the plants, green plants. So these are converted this sunlight into the energy. So this food energy is taken by the herbivores. These are eaten by the herbivores. These herbivores are eaten by the frag secondary consumers. So like carnivores. So these are again consumed by the snake like tertiary consumer. So after finally these are consumed by predators. So these are also carnivores. So here grazing food chain it is consisting only producers and herbivores and carnivores. So here the food energy is transferred from green plants, then herbivores, after that carnivores. So this type of food chain is called as grazing food chain. Detritus food chain. Detritus food chain it starts from organic matter like dead leaves or dead plants or dead animals and goes to the herbivores and onto the carnivores. So here the detritus food chain it is started with dead leaves. In case of grazing food chain, it is started with the green plants. So in detritus food chain, it is started with starts from the dead leaves like dead leaves, dead plants, dead animals. These are eaten by the some these are herbivores. After that, these are consumed by the carnivores. So if we take one example, dead leaves, so these are eaten by the woodlouse, these are eaten by the blackbird. This is showing the digital food chain, means it is starting from the dead leaves and ended with the carnivores. So this is a difference between digital food chain and also grazing food chain. Next question is discuss the significance of food chains of food webs with relevant examples. The transfer of food energy from the producers through a series of organisms, herbivores, carnivores, successfully with the repeated activities of eating and being eaten is known as food chain. So we know that food chain means it is the transfer of food energy from producers to carnivores. So here the food web means it can be defined as network of food chains. Food chain is one food chain. It is starting from the producers and it is also ended with the producer. So that is a food chain. Food web means it is defined as a network of food chains which are interconnected at various trophic levels so as to form a number of feeding connections amongst different organisms of biotic community. This a food web, it is similar to food chain, but the food web it is comparatively larger than food chain. Occasionally, a single organism can be consumed by many predators, or it consumes several other organisms. So, due to this, many trophic levels get interconnected. So, this type of interconnection is called as food web. Single cycle, it is called as food chain. So, interconnection of various food chains are called as food web. So, what is the significance of food chain and what is the significance of food web? So, significance of food chain, it is a knowledge of food chain. It helps in understanding the feeding relationship as well as the interaction between organism and ecosystem. And it is also help in understanding the mechanism of energy, and it is also help in understanding flow and circulation of matter in ecosystem, and it is also helps in to understand the movement of toxic substances and the problem associated with biological magnification in the ecosystem. Significance of food chain, the knowledge of food chain, it helps in understanding the feeding relationship as well as the interaction between organism and ecosystem, and it is also help in understanding the mechanism of energy and also flow and circulation of matter in ecosystem. It is also helps in to understand the movement of toxic substances and the problem associated with biological magnification in the ecosystem. And the significance of food web. Food webs distinguish levels of producers and consumers by identifying and defining the importance of animal relationships and food sources, beginning with the primary producers such as plants, insects, and herbivores. And food webs are important tools in understanding that plants are the foundation of all ecosystems and food chains, sustaining life by providing nourishment and oxygen needed for survival and reproduction. So the food web provides stability to ecosystem. Food chain, it will help to understand the movement of toxic substances from one trophic level to another trophic level. And the significance of food web, it will important tools to understanding that plants are the foundation of all ecosystems, and this food web provide stability to the ecosystem. So this is about food chain and food web, significance of food chain and food web. Thank you.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.